Okay, guys, I think we should be live now. Let me just make sure everything is running. Okay. Is this okay? Okay, it looks like we're on now. My internet is kind of slow, I guess. And now I cannot see the comments. Okay. Guys, welcome to the stream. Thank you very much for passing by. My name is Jose. I am a Golden in Kendo. Today we're going to be talking about Kendo, obviously. We're going to be watching some videos. And the focus would be on some of the things that I learned this year, this 2025. Some of the things that I'm doing to prepare for my Shinsa the next year, 2026. And kind of like comparing a little bit of Shiai Kendo and testing, right? We've been watching in the stream a couple of the past streams that I've done, a testing done in the US and looking specifically to the people that passed. So today we're going to do that a little bit more, but I also kind of want to bring in a Shiai video and kind of have a comparison on how Kendo is done differently, what type of things can we watch out to avoid during testing, and how to approach Shiai differently than when we're preparing for testing. And if you find that interesting, let me know in the comments, and I will appreciate if you guys take a second to like this video. It helps a lot in the channel, but also let me know in a comment, what are some of the type of things that you want to watch in the streams, videos I want to make. I'll really appreciate if you can leave me a comment, so that way I can start building up the things that you really want to watch. Okay. Now let me just make sure that everything's running smoothly here. Um, if you're new to the streams, I have a Discord server that you're free to pass by, check out, and become a member. If you would like to meet other people that are, interested in doing Kendo and practicing Kendo, and you want to maybe travel, you want to get in contact with some people in different countries, it's a gateway to it's a great way to start meeting people, and you can start picking up, making some contacts, and trying to figure out where you can go to practice some Kendo. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed today's stream. Um, it's been a little bit challenging to do the streams weekly, so maybe I'm gonna start doing them bi-weekly next year, 2026. So hopefully that way I can stay more consistent and you guys can still enjoy some Kendo content as well. Okay. Now I'm messed up my headphones, I think so. Okay. The videos that I have for today, let me just change the scene real quick. I have a video of Takenouchi and Kunitomo from this year's um, All Japan Kendo Championship. I also have um, the time when Nishimura won the All Japan Kendo Championship. It's the final because I want to talk specifically about something happening with the men here. And of course, we have the Shinsa. And just so you know, in this group, the person on the right, I believe is A. That's the one that passed. So we're gonna be watching this participant. Let me give me 1 second to get my headphones. I think I left them in the other room. So 1 second, guys. I left my headphones. Okay. Okay. So let's see, guys. I'm having some type of error. Hmm. I know it's a little bit earlier on the stream, but if you guys are here, like, make sure to leave me a message to let me know if things are running smoothly because I'm getting some errors on the screen and just want to make sure everything is okay. 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 Okay, now let me see if we have sound from the video. Okay. G Correo, thank you for passing by. Thank you for saying hello. Okay, so it looks like, yeah, we have sound. Everything's good. And okay. So let's watch this test. And by the way, guys, if you want to watch this video on your own, Kendo Photography's channel is the one that posted it. If you look for Kendo Shinsa, you're gonna find all the tests that he recorded. So happy that he did that. So I think I always open up with this. This is the thing that we always talk about at the beginning, is that Sonkyo, especially for testing, is very important, right? Um, Also, the way that you approach the center, it's also very important. You want to make sure that you take, okay, once you pass, for Shinsa and Shiai, once you pass the first line, you should take 3 steps to get to the point where you're going to do Sonkyo, right? So ideally, what you want to know, what you want to do is figure out and memorize that distance so you can take it comfortably with 3 steps. Now, if you notice here, let me see if you can see, because sorry guys, I'm doing the videos in like in a vertical way, and sometimes it's a little bit hard to fit in the frame everything I want to show. Maybe I should go back to doing the horizontal videos. It's a little bit more comfortable for me, I guess. Okay, so if you watch here, the Kenshi on the right didn't quite make it to the line, and the last step was a little bit uncomfortable, was a little bit long if you watch it again, right? That step here, it's a little bit long. You want to try to take a few steps when you come in and be able to comfortably take 3 steps in to then go into Sonkyo. Then doing Sonkyo is very important. I know some people may have knee problems and difficulties going down for Sonkyo, so it's okay to bring one leg back, right? Especially for testing, I think you have to let them know that you have some knee problem or something, so that way the judges don't take points away. But um, bringing one leg back, as a matter of fact, you see him in competitions as well. It's totally fine. But you want to come down straight and at a steady pace, right? You don't want to wobble on the way down. You don't want to compromise your posture. That's very important to keep in mind. So if you see the person on the left, it's kind of like throwing their butt back and then bringing the upper body forward, kind of losing balance. I'm not saying that this is what caused this person to not get the passing on their test, but it's something that you want to definitely keep in mind as you're working on your testing. You want to come down with a good balanced Sonkyo. And once you're down in Sonkyo, you should also be on balance, because when you get up, you should be ready, right? As a matter of fact, you should be ready on Sonkyo. So when you're coming down this way, it's a little bit harder to be in a position where you can actually respond. Sometimes in the most athletic matches, you will see that one person gets up super quick and advances quickly, and then the other person kind of tries to get up if they're on balance and they're not really ready to respond. So you want to try to make sure that you're always in a ready position starting from the Sankyo, okay? Keep that in mind. I think the approach, once we're talking about golden and above, you want to start figuring out how to show pressure, how to give pressure to your opponent, and also start controlling the match. You don't have to bring it up to a level, for example, like Rokudan, Nanadan, obviously Hachidan. You have to show more Tame, you have to show much more control. But at this point, it's about controlling your opponent and getting a reaction from them. Now, I feel a little bit like this moment here it's dangerous during Shinsa when you're coming in and you're just standing there. Even though you're not attacking, you shouldn't be attacking all the time, right? But even though you're not attacking, you should still showing the judges and showing your opponent that you're coming in and then you are pushing in and trying to give pressure, trying to find that opening. Your opponent and the judges should feel that you're really gonna come in at any second. And sometimes when you see tests where like they just stand there, they just kind of move side to side or take a soft step forward, that sense is lost. So you want to keep in mind, you want to build that pressure as you start approaching your opponent. So your test, that pressure starts from this distance. From back here is when you should start thinking about how to create a pressure to your opponent. So taking this one step, for example, and stopping kind of sometimes shows that lack of intent. Okay, so you have to be very careful how you approach. I think that's very important. That's something that I've been drilled at the dojo lately, this past year a lot. And you want to avoid those dead moments. Let's just say that, right? Now here you start seeing some intent being shown. The person on the left seem to be waiting, right? Because like it hasn't really coming forward. And as a matter of fact, something that's very important, especially for your own practice, guys. This is the difference between being proactive and being reactive. The person on the right initiates the approach. The person on the left may have stroke, but is clearly a reaction of the person on the right. If you watch here, person on the right is going to start moving forward, right? The person on the left hasn't registered that the person is coming, and then suddenly, as a reaction, throws in a movement. Now, one thing that you see here, because it's a reaction, is not really a forward movement. It's really even the body's kind of going up rather than going forward. You see that? And yes, they make they may have made a strike, and maybe for a Shiai that would have been okay. But for Shinsa, you want to be the person creating the reaction. And although, okay, so sorry, I was wrong, guys. The person on the left was the one that passed because I see B on the right. Let me just double check that. B is the person that um, 509. Okay, 509A is the person that passed. So it's the person that's now on the right, the one that passed. So that you have to be careful because maybe he or she stroke, but you want to make sure that you are giving a reaction, getting a reaction from the opponent rather than just being reactive. In this one, it was more present, that push, right? Although it was still kind of as a reaction, because if you see the person on the left is coming in forward, and then right is going in, or A is going in for a strike. Now, I have to say that from A side, the good thing is that it's picking up well the opportunity to hit, right? So in this case, B, maybe one of the things that is happening that didn't allow B to pass is the fact that B is attacking without getting an opening, right? So it's just the motions that we have seen from B so far. Although A has been a reaction, the reaction have paid off. So maybe A hasn't passed yet, but B may be losing points because it's just attacking without an opening. And what does an opening look like, guys? Okay, so when you're let's take a second, talk a little bit about that. Okay, so if you're in Kamae, like approaching the opponent and you just randomly go hoping to hit it, yeah, maybe you're the first one to come in and maybe the other person reacts. Maybe you get lucky, but it doesn't show control to the judges, right? Um, and I'm going to talk about more in depth about this in the next stream. Guys, after this stream, I do a members only stream where I share some things that are happening that I'm doing in my own practices, what happening at the dojos here in Japan, and some of the teachings that I'm getting from Sensei specifically, dealing with the deal, the issues, and the problems that I'm going through. So this is something that was mentioned to me this past week, last lesson of the year. Um, you want to have the moment here where it's kind of like a push and pull. So you're pushing in, you're pulling, you're trying to pull the opponent to come in. You're trying to find that opening, that moment where you have higher chances of getting an ippon. So the reactions that you're looking for maybe could be that the person tenses up the shinai or loosens up the grip, starts moving forward, starts moving back. All those little things is the signals that you're looking for to figure out where the opening is. But if you're just randomly stepping in and going, then it becomes a guessing game. Okay, so you want to avoid that. You definitely want to have a moment here where you're crossing after you start touching shinais. You want to have that moment here where you start pushing in and getting a reaction from your opponent. And what you want to do is you want to use the distance from here all the way to Isokito no Mae all this time to get the reaction. Once you're here, you're kind of like in too deep, right? Like you have to have gotten a reaction by here, which is another problem that I'll talk about it in another stream, another video. You can ask questions if you want about that, but you definitely want to find that moment where you you get an opportunity to go before you get here or as you get here. Once you put in that pressure, once you put in that seme, you have to go. You have to get that in your brain. That goes for Shiai, that goes for Shinsa, is that once you put that energy in, that last push in, you have to go. But as you get to that point, you have to figure out where the opening is and what type of reactions you're getting. I hope that makes sense, guys. Please make sure to leave me a comment and just ask questions so that way I can figure out what are some of the things that you're curious about. Okay, let me move the camera a little bit again because there we go. I do have to say that A has much better posture, and this is one of the biggest points to your favor that you can get. Um, in Shinsa. If you have better posture than your opponent, you start getting points, subconsciously at least, from the judges. Um, Wolfscan, thank you for passing by. Right now it's 11:30 in Osaka. So yes, good morning. I guess almost good afternoon, but thank you for passing by. And guys, this is something that I struggle with this year, and I'm gonna share a couple of things about this because I think it's a big point. It's evening for you, right? Um, so good evening. Thank you for passing by. Um, okay, this is something that I personally struggle with, and this year I feel like I'm making big strides to fix it. And is the use of the left leg to really move you forward rather than going up or your body kind of like breaking if you're trying to attack forward. So let me show you this and I'll talk about it. So if you see here, the upper on the right side, the kenshi on the right side, the arms are going first, and the kind of like the left leg, although it's pushing forward, is not being as efficient as it could be, right? And that's because kind of like, let me just move this a little bit. Hold on, guys. Okay. Okay. So let me just move this a little bit here. See if it goes well. Okay. So, okay, here it's better. So as in Kamae, what's happening, the upper hands, the upper body is going first, and it's kind of messing up with the posture, right? With the way that the body is going in. And then when the left leg pushes, it kind of naturally just pushes forward, and the 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 way the body moves, instead of moving straight forward, transferring the power from your leg into your shinai, gets lost, right? So this is something that happens a lot of times when we want to be faster. We're just so eager to strike that we throw the arms forward. So ideally, what you want to do and to get in the habit of doing is learning or making it a habit that your body always goes first before your arms or before your upper body starts getting involved. So ideally, you want to be the first person to start moving forward, so that way you don't have to catch up to the opponent, right? But in the case that the opponent is coming, you also have to remember that you don't have to go so far. The opponent is already coming to you, so still focus on the lower body, so you push forward rather than up. And that also can come from a low engagement of your core. Sometimes, maybe like you lose tightness here, and that can also do that motion forward. So ideally, you want to make sure that your right leg and your upper body move because your back leg is pushing, rather than throwing the leg or throwing the body, because this is what happens. You throw there, and then when the left leg pushes, it pushes up. And maybe it feels slow at the beginning. Maybe it feels like you build up a lot of tension. You do have to practice. You do have to, um, in Japanese, since they always say kurikashi, right? Like you have to like repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. So it becomes natural, and you're going to see that your power and your speed increase with less effort than the one that you're putting right now if you're doing this. Okay, I hope that makes sense, guys. Feel free to let me know in the comments. But very common thing that happens. And another side effect to that is the fact that the back leg drags too, right? But uh, once you understand the like the mechanics of it, I think it's easier to fix. Now the habit though, to get rid of the habit is pretty hard. Say it from experience. So okay, so now let's break down a little bit about this. So in testing, of course, you have to keep in mind, depending on your grade, right? But you have to keep in mind first the first your technique, your basics, right? And then after that, you start building up on the hard elements like the pressure and the and seme and all this stuff. So we talked a little bit about the basics, and sometimes it's okay to just not have it so perfect, not look so perfect. But what we're looking for, again, it's controlling. And then you see the person on the left approach first, but it kind of stopped, kind of maybe waiting for that kote, for that opening. And then like as the person on the left approached, just watch this for a second, guys. Guys, if you haven't, please take a second, just hit that like button if you haven't subscribed, so you get more of my videos and you get more of these lives. And it really helps the channel, guys. So you see, as the person on the left is approaching, the person on the right is not blindly going. He or she starts by pushing in with the upper body in this case, but starts replying the pressure. So you got to remember, when you're putting pressure, you you can get a lack of response from your opponent, or you can get response. But now if you switch it up, right? Like let's say that you were not the first person to come in forward, you still have the chance to win that exchange by replying with pressure rather than just going, right? So you want to start replying with that pressure and then choosing the right moment to engage in your technique, because that way you start what's it called, taking control of that exchange. you make the opponent hesitate. They were coming in, they were charging, but because of that pressure, they're like, oh, I have to do something different. And that hesitation, you can still take advantage of. And that could be an endless loop. And this, I think, what you see at Hachidan levels, for example, you see one person put the pressure looking like they're gonna go, and then the other person looks like they're responding, but they're just holding back, and then they kind of like that build up. And I think that's something that we end up trying to copy and not really have been so successful. But I think as you go up in level, you can still build up that pressure closer and closer and closer, without falling into a dead moment, right? We, as I'm saying, like people that we're not at that level to understand that pressure, we end up putting the pressure, but then stopping, relaxing, and then we end up at that moment. So be mindful of that, guys. And I think because of that exchange of pressure, the person on the left missed, but the person on the right came with such decision that got a clean hit to the man. So those are the type of things that I think is gonna help you get past your test, because you can show, this person is showing that they're not just blindly going, they're replying to the pressure and they're taking control of the situation. Even though they didn't start the situation, they took control of it. Okay, and that's our big points when it comes to testing. Another thing, very, very good, especially in a moment like this, that follow through. Very good follow through, guys. And I'm going to show, okay, I'm gonna show this real quick. I wanted to do this at the end, but I I think it relates to what we just saw. This is Nishimura finals that he won a few years back, and I'm going to show this ippon, this last ippon first. Okay, I'm gonna go deeper about this in maybe I'll talk about it in my next stream, but maybe I'm gonna dedicate this a video about this in another stream as well. But if you watch here, guys, once Nishimura goes in for that man, hold on, because it's kind of okay. So look at the difference we're talking about before, right? As Nishimura on the right now, it starts approaching the opponent for the technique. Instead of throwing the upper hands, instead of dropping the upper body to get there quicker, what he's doing is that he's moving the right leg, and that right leg is moving because of the left leg is pushing forward. So if you see that angle of the left leg is really pushing in, and then the arms get engaged. Look at this at this point. So a good reference point to when to move the left hands is push with your left hands at the moment that the left foot is doing the fumikiri. That last moment when the back foot is pushing or kicking off from the ground, that's when you should start engaging sharply your hands. And then this is the point that I wanted to make on this one, is that the front foot is landing under the center of gravity, right? A lot of times when people do a long attack, a long reach, they land with the foot forward, and that makes it forward of the center of gravity. So let's say that this is the body and the foot lands forward like this. Oh, maybe you cannot see it. If this is the center of gravity and this is the foot, you want the foot to land under you so it's easier to bring you forward, right? But if the foot lands on top, on front of your center of gravity, you're forced to kind of drop your body down, so then your leg has to like make so much effort to bring you forward. Ideally, you want to push forward Your foot is coming in, and then when it comes down, it just brings you forward rather than you landing your foot forward and your weight down. I hope that makes sense, guys. Please, I hope that somebody leaves a comment and let me know, like, okay, you got it, or if you have any questions so I can be more specific about it. But this is a very important point to keep in mind and to be mindful of, because it can cause, doing it wrong can cause a lot of problems, but doing it right solves so many problems, even other things like, like the back foot, having good balance, having good speed. Now, what that does, what that does at this point for Nishimura is that allows him to have balance after the strike. And something that changed completely the way my attack, my speed, and my intensity on my techniques is keeping in mind that your core, your belly is gonna come forward immediately. So a lot of times when we hit that we're trying to hit so far and so quick, we end up leaving the back, like the butt and your core, we leave it behind. But ideally, what you want to do is be in a position where after your strike, your belly crashes into your opponent. You see, naturally, Nishimura, after bringing the foot down, is completely straight. His body is a little bit in an angle, right? But the leg and the body are in completely one line. And once that leg pushes him straight, the first thing that hits, you see, the belly hits forward. And gives that much more force into the follow through naturally without you having to put so much effort onto getting a good follow through after. So that's very important if you want to improve your sanshin. You want to keep that in mind. That physical aspect of your kendo can change so many points if you get it right. So I hope that makes sense. And if we watch here, we saw that A had a good follow through, right? And one thing that happened, right, is that the foot landed under the center of gravity, okay? Even though that A kind of threw his hands forward first, he, the fact that the foot came under the center of gravity helped a lot after getting such a good strike to have a nice follow through, a nice clear follow through, which I think adds up to the fact of you getting extra points to pass your Shinsa. Again, A, taking control of the situation, not overreacting, and the reaction being going forward for an attack. Maybe it was late and it didn't score, right? Like B score first, but B is coming in again without any regard of like where the opening is. It's just like stepping in and going. Look, step and go. There's no really any communication there. And A is responding to it, going in a very good posture. Maybe he didn't score, but he also didn't overreact. Didn't do like anything weird. And that helps a lot on the eyes of the judges. This is very interesting, Kaishido, because as you start seeing, okay, in Shinsa, I think you also have to, sometimes we get a better or a worse test, and also sometimes we get a better or worse opponent, right? So maybe at this point, A is thinking, okay, B is coming in a lot, it's just kind of just responding to every little movement I do, is just going forward, right? And then using that information, um, you see A wants to communicate, wants to have that conversation, and is coming in forward. So you see here, now A is holding the hands down and bringing the foot forward, the right foot forward, taking advantage of the fact that now he got a reaction for a man, and he just went for a Kareshido. Great opportunity. It made a great opportunity, I think. Like, okay, this one actually ended up being also a very good one. If you watch here, A brings the right foot forward. Maybe at this point, A is feeling more confident as well, right? And you see, slowly starts coming in closer. B can just not hold that pressure, so he overreacts, bring the Shinai back, starts going forward, and then A goes in for a technique. A is starting to show control of the match. Good follow-throughs as well. Also, because of that, because of the fact that A is sliding the foot forward and pushing in with the back foot, landing straight, landing with the body straight, and having a good follow-through. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. So I believe, okay, this is C, so we're gonna skip this one because both of these competitors didn't pass. So is this A? It looks like B. Okay, so this is B and C. Ah, okay, wait, there's a D, maybe. I think this is, yeah, D. Okay. So I guess this group had 4 people. Second, guys. Okay, A now is coming in on the left. This moment, I feel like it was a little bit of a gamble, right? Because it's not about just going and attacking, but it's the fact that it's like a lot of moments it looks like they're both standing, right? Not really pressuring. Although you can see there's movement, trying to go a little bit with that pressure, finding the right moment, the right footing, but you have to be careful with that. Yeah, those little tiny steps, guys. I'm sure you heard about this at your dojo from your sensei, but tiny steps are key in order to be in balance and being able to just go forward with power and not take so long to readjust yourself as you're approaching. So something that you definitely want to practice learning how to do smoothly. So I feel like A is back at being tense. Very nice hits. I feel like A has very nice strikes. And this was the last. I think a really good point for A here is the fact that the response of A is not like jerking around, is not being too obvious that he or she is scared, right? It's coming. A is coming in. It's coming in straight. It's coming in forward. It's not looking to do like trick or feints and stuff like that. It's trying to put pressure and it's trying to control the situation. So I think that really helped on A's exam on passing. So if I have to say like the generic advices on Shinsa that I think apply for all levels is the fact that you don't want to look like you're just reacting to your opponents. And early on, like Shodan, Nidan, Sandan, what that looks like a lot of times is that if you have somebody that is like very, what's it called, active, like just attacking, 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 and that's not your kendo, that's what you start doing, then now you're reacting to your opponent. Now you are falling to what your opponent is leading you into. And you gotta find ways to control the match and make the match go to your style. So for example, if somebody is it's always coming in forward, maybe because they feel confident that they're coming in, you have to build up your confidence and your way of showing your opponent that I am coming in for you, right? To make them hesitate more. So those little things are the points that are going to affect how you approach your fight and how the rhythm goes for your Shinsa, which is one of the main things that I'm working on for my Rokudan. One thing that it's it's being drilled to me right now and something that I'm working on, it's the fact that I don't want to be just going in because my opponent move, right? So I'm at a point, I feel like I'm at a point when I fight with senseis that I understand that I have to be the first one giving the pressure. I understand that I have to approach the opponent, but a lot of times I haven't properly figure out the fact that when do they move forward to attack or when do they move forward to reply for that pressure. And again, when you're fighting against senseis that have that much more experience on you, it's easier for them to either what's it called, fake you and also invite you, right? That a lot of times senseis, the way they refer to this is that you have to not only make your opponent feel that you're going to attack them, but you also have to learn to invite. And that's what I feel like a lot of times higher level senses do to me as well, where especially when they're not as energetic as I might be, they have the ability to make me waste my energy because they invite me and I am forced to move more to make the distance, where for them it's just easier to just attack because again they're attacking at the timing that they want. And that's what you want to try to do for yourself. You want to try to make it to where you're getting a reaction from the opponent and you're understanding that reaction, you're understanding the reaction, so you know when to go and where to go. Okay, because for example, uh, if you're here, you have to go so much further to come for a man, right? But if you put pressure and the opponent starts going in, now you don't have to go all the way here. You start going a little bit closer, right? And doing all those stuff is very important for the high level. Um, on the other side, the basics and the techniques and how your body looks and how your body moves, it's also very important. And those are the points that you can do on your own as well, right? With a dummy at home, figuring out, okay, my response is going to be going forward with my body and then engaging my arms rather than I'm going in so quick. You want to fix all this stuff and learn to make it smoother. So that way, when you're against your opponent, you start figuring out which way and how to move. And that reaction becomes natural rather than this type of things, right? Um, one of the last, and this last point I'm going to talk about before going into the members only stream, guys. I posted a video about the hands, about how the hands should be for your Kamae. Now, um, of course, every body type is different. everybody may have a different way of having good posture in kendo. And but the things that you have to be mindful of is that you don't want to have your hand too low and too close to your body. Having them too close makes it where it's hard for you to actually move. Having them too far as well, then it's another problem. It throws off your body, it throws off your balance, but also it makes it where you don't have so much mobility of the tip of the shinai, right? You can only go so far. So finding the right point, but then here is very important. Like how high your hand should be is very important, because when you push with your left hand, naturally your hand should go forward towards the opponent. If your hand is going down, then you're wasting a lot of time, a lot of movement with the tip of your shinai, and you're taking away, you're bringing the shinai way too close to you. We saw that actually happen in the test a couple of times, where the shinai kind of just goes far, goes back too far, and then it's harder, or it takes longer for the tip to go forward. Ideally, you want to keep the tip forward and everything going smoothly forward rather than bringing the shinai back. Um, of course, there are exceptions, right? For example, like when you're doing like katsugi waza, right? Like you do bring the sword back, or when you're trying to avoid the shinai, trying to change the angle. There are exceptions, right? But on the most basic part of your kamae should be free to move forward, and the first reaction should be into a technique straight forward, because men and kote should be straight and forward. Hope that makes sense. Um, Herker V, thank you very much for passing by. Thank you for saying hello. But anyways, guys, hold on. Before, give me 1 second. Uh, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask, guys. Even if you do later, make sure you leave it in the comments, so that way I can always come back and reply or make videos about this. It really helps to know what is it that you want to know, what is it that you want me to share with you. um, in the I'm gonna post the link here on the chat. That's the link for the next stream that I'm about to do in about 10 minutes or 5 minutes. It's a members only stream where I share the behind the scenes of what I'm doing for practice, some little specific concept that I'm being taught. And if there's any specific questions, any specific help that you want me to help to give you, that's a good way to do it. On the other hand too, we have a Discord server. It's completely free, guys, so feel free to pass by, join it. And if you have any questions, if you want to send me a message, it's a good way to do so. But it's a good way to meet people from different parts of the world, where you can get in contact with other people. So if you want to go practice in different countries, if you want to get to know how kendo is done in different places, it's a great way and great place to do so. Okay, so guys, thank you very much for passing by. Please don't forget to hit the like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps a lot. So thank you very much for being here, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Okay.